My name is Katie Yates, and this is Season 4 of the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife's podcast, Fishing Game Changers. In this series, Take Aim, I'm talking with Mainers of different backgrounds to learn about their first steps into hunting. So far in this series, you've heard from lifelong outdoor enthusiasts who have been hunting since childhood, former vegetarians, and self-taught adult onset hunters. For many new adult hunters, a mentor is a critical piece of their journey from unseasoned to successful. A few cubicles away from me at the MDIFW headquarters in Augusta, Maine sits Matt LeBacco, who finds himself somewhere in between mentored and self-taught.
I'm Matt LeBacco. I'm the Fisheries Planner and Research Coordinator for Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. So I work on a variety of projects that generally have some sort of nexus to the management of fish throughout the state, not particular on any species or location, but right now I'm working on drafting our strategic plan for the next 15 years, so basically working with a bunch of our staff and different stakeholders, etc., to help identify some of the priorities that we'll be focusing on to manage fisheries for the next 15 years.
Matt is involved in a lot of projects for our fisheries division. One I wanted to highlight is the FLOAT tool. FLOAT stands for Fishing Laws Online Angling Tool. This interactive map provides anglers a quick and easy way to see which of Maine's thousands of inland waters have special fishing laws. Visit mefishwildlife.com/float to learn more.
Anyhow, so the FLOAT tool is a project I got involved in because I have some skills with database management and also GIS skills that both together are two things that are really needed for the project. The idea behind it was to create a visualization tool that would help our anglers better understand the fishing laws. So what we've done is taken the printed law book and translated that information into a map that will hopefully make it just a little bit easier for anglers to understand the regulations on specific bodies of water.
Matt has always been an outdoorsy person. He developed a love of fishing as a child when his dad would take him out. This inspired his choice of major in college.
You know, just like most of the people in this field, I grew up enjoying the outdoors. I did a ton of fishing growing up. My dad, I wouldn't say that he was a hardcore fisherman, but he definitely enjoyed angling, and it may have been just he enjoyed seeing how much fun I was having. He got me, my first Zebco reel. I'd go out to the lake every summer where my aunt had a boat, and I'd spend my days fishing. So I just generally started getting pretty interested in fisheries, and then always dreamed of doing something with the outdoors, but I didn't know what kind of career opportunities there were. So anyhow, I applied to NC State's engineering program. I did not get accepted to that, but somehow was encouraged to apply to the Fisheries and Wildlife program, which I did, and I was accepted. I didn't realize that there was really a clear distinction between fisheries and wildlife. Wildlife just seemed pretty general, even though I didn't have really any experience in it. Halfway through, though, I realized that there was a concentration in fisheries. I decided to go with that. It was a perfect fit for me because I loved fishing.
Just because you liked fishing.
That was honestly, and I could say I loved fishing, but if I think about it, it wasn't really just the act of fishing. There's so many things about fishing that are awesome. Being outside, being away from people. I don't want to sound too antisocial, but I enjoy peace and quiet, and right. Fishing gives you a great opportunity to do that. And then there's always a surprise. I don't know what a lot of other anglers think about fishing, but for me, it's like one of the best opportunities to be surprised over and over, because you could catch a 5-inch fish and then the very next cast catch a 30-incher.
For his education and during his post-grad years, Matt ended up traveling a lot, both for school and for work. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot, from the Arctic Circle to the American Southwest.
I also was able to study abroad for 3 summers during my undergrad. So I started in Sweden. I had a course there my first summer. The class was based up in the Arctic Circle north of the Arctic Circle in Sweden.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really
neat. It was awesome. I spent the 4th of July up there, which, and the sun never went down. It was really cool.
Wow, that's really cool.
Ate reindeer tacos. Second summer, I went to Beijing Forestry University in Beijing. And then my last summer, I went back to the university in Sweden. So I graduated in December, kind of a lull as far as getting opportunities for jobs. And in fisheries, there's already a limited number of jobs, but I was lucky enough to get accepted on a position with a grad student at NC State, where I worked on a striped bass project on the Cape Fear River there. I'll take you on the journey here. I went from North Carolina to Vernal, Utah, Beaver Creek, Colorado, and worked for a winter because I wanted to stay employed, but I cleaned buses for a winter. And then from there, from Colorado, I moved to northern Michigan to work with lake sturgeon. Southwest Utah, St. George, Utah, desert, a really cool area, and I actually met my wife there. Moved up to Pinedale, Wyoming, and worked in high elevation mountain streams and lakes, sampling trout populations. Coastal Oregon, worked in Nehalem, Oregon with Chinook salmon. Next job I went over to was in the Dalles, Oregon, where I worked with steelhead running up the Deschutes River. Oh, from there I went to, I forgot. In between there, I also worked in Northeast Washington with steelhead over to Juneau, Alaska. Yeah, I need to write this down because I also worked in Northern California, somewhere in the mix. Anyhow, I went back to Wyoming, and then I ended up getting a researcher position at Southern Illinois University. But I got a researcher position with the hopes that it would eventually turn into a graduate position if I did a good job, which fortunately I did. And within the first 6 months, I was offered a grad position working with Asian carp. Right as soon as I was finishing up, the position here in Maine opened up. Thought it was a long shot, but it was basically a cold water fisheries biologist position. I couldn't have thought of a more perfect fit for myself at the time. Moved up to Maine. My first visit to the state of Maine was for my last interview here.
Matt, who never had an interest in hunting growing up, slowly started to find himself more and more curious, but was never in a place long enough to really take on the challenge.
As I moved around, just naturally you start to encounter more and more people that are into hunting, and I think as my interests, I went from being like, I don't want to hear about that, not because I don't want to hear it, it grosses me out or anything, it's just I didn't care to hear about it, to, oh, that kind of sounds interesting, like, that's similar, I guess, to fishing, you get going outside, but I think at the time thought of hunting as sitting there and waiting, and I also didn't appreciate how difficult it was. I thought like, oh, what's the fun of sitting in the woods and then boom, shoot, done, bye. That's not how it works, at least for me. So anyways, once these experiences, I started to hear more about it. It's like, okay, I told my wife, as soon as we move somewhere, that we're there for an extended period of time, and for us that meant like a year plus, that I would purchase a firearm and get into hunting. Moved to Maine, and I knew that was going to be my opportunity to start hunting, even though I still didn't know much about hunting.
Once in Maine working for the department, Matt found himself surrounded by hunters eager to share their know-how, experience, and passion for the outdoors. Even our fisheries division is full of hunters, including Matt's supervisor, Francis Browdigan, the director of fisheries.
The people that I work with love to hunt. And I said, like, secretly, yes, this is my opportunity here. And not only do they love to hunt, and I came to find out this is common among most hunters, they love to help other people get into hunting. It's like fun for them, just like it is for fishing for me. I love taking people fishing, but I never saw the similarities with hunting until that point. I took my hunter safety, and then I accepted any opportunity anybody was willing to give me to teach me more about hunting. And I'm not a person that like loves to learn everything about everything. I like to know enough to like make it work and then try to figure things out, and that's exactly what I did. But the mentor that I had, my boss, Francis, I can't think of enough for the time that he spent with me, not only like teaching me the right things to do, but also how to do them, and then talking about some of the mistakes that he made too. And then and then providing me with opportunities to go hunting with him, and knowing how much value people put into their hunting locations, how much time they spend scouting them out, how important they are and special they are to them. For somebody to invite me into that area right away was just like, wow.
Do you think that having a mentor was critical for you?
It's a matter of, for me anyways, especially starting hunting in my early 30s, I was more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, I guess you could say. Like it didn't bother me to let people know that I wasn't experienced in this or that, or this was completely new to me, and I was more than happy to say, I want you to show me exactly how to do this or how you would do this, because I don't know how to do it, and those experiences where I was able to just be very open with somebody. I don't think I would have been like that. I definitely wouldn't have been like that when I thought I was a really cool teenager. Definitely your perspectives change as you grow. And so for me anyways, having that mentor, having Francis and other people that have also helped along the way was crucial. Not only for just learning what they do and how they do it. Everybody does things a little bit differently, but learning those things gives you confidence like you wouldn't believe.
Matt's mentors helped him understand just how difficult hunting can be and gave him realistic expectations for the time commitment hunting requires. Before talking with mentors and trying hunting himself, he had no clue how many hours he would be sitting absolutely still, doing nothing, but waiting for a deer to cross his path. In past episodes, the hunters I've interviewed have mentioned just how much wildlife they see while sitting in their tree stand or ground blind, patiently waiting for a deer, and Matt is no exception.
It's a lot more complicated than a lot of people think. Having somebody tell you that is very helpful, because if you go YouTube deer hunting, you're not going to see somebody shooting 40 hours of nothing. But that's at least been my reality, is a lot of the times nothing happens, but there's 5 seconds when something does happen. And to know that you're not doing anything wrong, or you may not be doing much wrong for those other 39 and a half hours, was really helpful for me. And I saw more mice running around in the forest, probably because I wasn't seeing any deer, but I saw that happen all the time, and just something that simple. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool, these things. And because you're sitting there still, you get to see them kind of do what they would naturally do. And a lot of everybody's seen like cardinals and robins and squirrels, but I don't know if you've ever seen a squirrel try to climb up you, and you're still enough where they're doing that.
Matt tells me about his first time hunting deer alone. He chose to scout and hunt a wildlife management area. Wildlife management areas, or WMAs, are an ecologically based system of land holdings for the protection and enhancement of important wildlife habitats that also provide opportunities for all types of recreation. You can learn more about WMAs by visiting our website, mefishwildlife.com.
First day I got out there, I went to the wildlife management area, hiked way in, a mile in, sat down, nothing happened in the morning. I could hear turkeys. But then I decided to move this spot that just looked perfect. I had heard from other people that I had talked to about hunting that it was really good to be stealthy, so I was probably more stealthy than I've ever been in my life, and I don't know if it helped or not. But anyhow, I got to a spot. Within 5 minutes of sitting down, I could hear a deer come, and I was like, oh gosh, I know what I'm doing. This is perfect. Deer kept coming, and I stayed really still. Anyhow, popped its head around the tree that was right in front of me, and there was no antlers. But it was really cool because the deer, I could practice like I was going to shoot it without shooting it. So it gave me a really good opportunity to go through the motions of, okay, well, let's see how these things really do react, because people tell you that they're skittish. And so I really got to test the waters there. I thought, geez, this is great. First day out hunting, see a doe, I'm going to nail this. saw one more deer the entire rest of the season. I probably hunted, I think I hunted almost every single day. That included evenings and mornings, or mornings and evenings, so.
Huge time commitment.
Yeah, huge time commitment. But that one experience, first day, gave me even more confidence.
Matt was not interested in a trophy buck or a mount. He was more motivated to bring home food for his freezer and family. His second year hunting, he was able to get an any deer permit, allowing him to harvest an antlerless deer.
Second year, I had a very similar experience. Saw a couple of deer, never had an opportunity. I actually heard way more deer that year than I did the previous year. And the previous year, I wasn't really good at separating squirrels from deer as far as hearing them. I'm still not great at it, but anyhow, I got closer to animals that year. I could hear them. I knew I was right on top of them. And then one morning it was snowing. I went out and I finally got to see the tracks from all the deer that I had been hearing. And I was like, yes, I'm finally right about something here. They are where I think they are. I had a really good feeling. I had actually jumped a couple that morning, so I went back out that afternoon as soon as I got out of work. Walked out to my spot. Before I could even get to it, I saw a doe. She was only 30 or so yards away, I guess, and kind of freaked me out. I didn't know what to do because I wasn't prepared. The only shot I had was standing up. I had never shot my gun standing up, but I felt pretty good about the tree I was able to lean up against. So she went in the woods for a second. She came back out, and as soon as I had an opportunity, I shot her, and I don't really remember what happened for the next couple minutes. But then I do remember the first thing I think, maybe I don't remember, but I did text my mentors, because it was like one of those things that you normally would share with maybe your parents, one of those experiences, but first people I went to was my mentors, which kind of shows you, I guess, how important they were to the whole experience.
Wanting to do the whole process himself from start to finish, Matt got to work just as the sun was setting.
Did the field dressing myself, got it into my car myself, brought it to the tagging station, hung it, cut it up too. So
All yourself?
Yep.
Wow.
All myself with a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a funny thing too, because I didn't get great service. I didn't have the data on my phone to watch videos. So I where I had the deer, it was not at my house. I would watch a couple minutes, run down there, say, oh yeah, this makes sense, and then open up the body cavity and say, oh geez, this is not what the video looked like. So run back up to the house, run back and forth. I was freezing. It probably took me 6 hours to get the thing, well, maybe not dressed. I guess dressed I got done in a couple hours. Definitely took me even longer to cut it up. But yeah, it was quite the experience. And that was the only deer that I've shot in my 3 years of hunting now.
What advice do you have for somebody who might be interested but not sure, who might be curious about hunting or has always wanted to try, kind of how you were before getting into a position where you had some mentors to take you out? What advice do you have for someone like that?
So basically find a mentor that you feel comfortable with, or that you share enough similarities with that you're going to have really good dialogue. Somebody that shares your same interests, somebody that's experienced, somebody that's easy to talk to.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking, hey, I want to learn more about hunting, visit mefishwildlife.com/hunt for hunting resources, next steps, and information. To learn more about this podcast, visit mefishwildlife.com/changers to stay up to date on current episodes. Hit subscribe on your favorite listening app. Next week, I'll be meeting with someone whose unique first hunting experience was life-changing.